dropping a guideline in the back. So this haircut will be in 732, but we all know that we're in 742 today. So this is a client razor cut. And we do get clients for razor cuts. And so like, oh, I was so annoyed last semester because I didn't get a chance to do this. And then sure enough, like the first day, why was there a haircut client that was a razor cut? Like why? So I was like, okay, next time I better show the razor cut right away. And then I know you guys haven't practiced it very much from what you have all said, so we're gonna practice it today. And then when you're doing your sectioning and you know you're gonna do a haircut, instead of just sectioning it all up in 4, go ahead and in the back, go ahead and drop that guide. At least a 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more, because remember what we were talking about, how in everybody's napes, sometimes the nape is super like thin hair, shorter hair, so just drop it to be like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, especially if the hair's really thin on the bottom. Okay. So a lot of the ways that we do this is going to be similar to how we do just the solid haircut that you guys did on Maria, but only we're going to be using a razor. And like I said, I always want you to do razor cuts on damp hair, but like next thing you know, the minute I say that, and I do think it's actually a test question that you may see, that it is on damp hair, but next thing you know, you go to a hair show and they're razor cutting on dry hair, but that's not the rule, technically, you know, it should be damp. Okay, so we talked about holding this. The guard faces the stylist. If the guard faces me, so that's correct. And some people are comfortable with 2 fingers. Some people are comfortable with 1 finger. I know people that have do 3 fingers. Some people open this up, but let's for now find our comfort zone with this part of it up of the tool. And then all it is, you want to get used to holding the comb in your hand. So I'm palming my razor like this, and I'm going to comb the hair down. Okay. And then again, it's the same way where we're going to start center, side. Just come straight down. And the Jocelyn's, ooh, what did I do? Whoa. Okay. The Jocelyn's have a lot of like really see-through hair on the bottom, so you can cut about 3 inches of that, even though, you know, I know we don't want to cut all the time, but if we can cut about at least 3 inches off those, because it's not going to help you when you guys are perming hair at all. Okay, so I'm just going to come in now. We, like Miss Medrano, me, I don't know why this is doing that. That is so, do you see what's happening? I don't know what that is. Am I pulling hair from somewhere, or something's snagging? All right, well, anyway, let's see, does it do it over here? I know. No, something like my comb is snagging, or... Okay, let's use the other side. Okay, we're just going to use this side of the comb. All right, I know, cut it. We're just going to cut it. All right, so you had 3 different teachers doing the razor cut, and we had 3 different styles. So Miss Medrano she would come in with her razor. You're always going to come right behind your fingers. And Miss Medrano was 1, 2, 3, a count to cut, okay? Miss Knowles was a hacker. She came in and hacked it. And then I remember my beauty school. So in my head, this is what my teacher told me. C-shaping, C-shaping, C-shaping. So it's kind of like taking your blade and you kind of go into it at a 45 and you just create a C. So you can do that as a 1, 2, 3, C, or hacker. I really don't care. It's kind of going to be what you're comfortable with. The hacker's interesting. I mean, I don't.
That's the one I like.
You like the hacker?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Aggressive. All right. So C shaping 1, 2, 3, or the hacker. You come right behind your fingers, and you're just going to go C shaping. Goodbye. Now, what's that? Just kind of 1, 2, 3, or C shaping, whatever. Now, for those of you, and I know I have a few perfectionists in the room, the bottoms of a razor cut are supposed to be feathered. They're not going to be an even straight line. It's not for the perfectionist at all. Okay, so you're going to come, when you come to your next side, I'm still standing right behind. Okay, see my fingers right now? You can see the hair that I just cut there. I'm just going to move a little past it, and then I'm going to do my C shaping right behind it. Or 1, 2, 3, or hack. And then I'm going to get the next hair on the other side. Okay, so my fingers are here. I'm just going to move down past my fingers a little bit, and then just do your hack, your C shape, whatever that I like, 1, 2, 3, or C shaping. Now, it is, okay, so this side, that's noticeable. That little bit longer, so I'm just going to come in and grab that little piece and take it off. All right, so the whole point of a razor cut is for the ends to be feathered and not precision, not cut straight across in the sense of every hair's cut at the same spot. You can see by having this feathered look to it how it gets kind of flippy and nice. Okay, so that's the point. So don't keep sitting there and going over it. The ends are going to look different. They're going to lay different, everything. Now, when I went back over it the one time, it was because, and I still have this side a little longer, that's noticeable. So I'm just going to come in and fix that. Now it's better. All right, so palm. Get your next sub-parting. Now you want to be really mindful on razor cutting that you don't take too much hair, especially when you're just getting started, because it will be really hard to cut. So be mindful that you stick to your 1/2 inch partings, sub-partings. Okay, so when I comb this down, can everybody see my guidelines still? Okay, so we're gonna practice. I'm gonna do 3 solids at a 0, because that's what I'm doing. Then when we come up a little higher, we're gonna move it to a 45, like 3 45s, and then we're gonna do like 3 90s so that you guys can practice all of those steps in this haircut. It's just gonna be that simple. So here we're still at a 0. Come down. See your guideline. You move your fingers to where the guidelines are, 1, 2, 3, or C shaping. Whatever's gonna work for you. So my fingers, do you see how you can see the ends of the hair there still? I'm just gonna move my fingers down, 2, 3, C shaping. See your guide, move my fingers down, 1, 2, 3. And now all I'm really looking for are really long hairs that I may have missed. I'm not trying to make this perfect. I want the bottoms to be feathered looking. That's the point of the razor cut. The razor cut's really beautiful on people with white hair that get roller sets, because when you put their roller sets in, it really feathers their hair beautifully. So, and then like, this is, you know, they say not on curly hair, but sometimes if the curly hair has a really nice cuticle and it's like maybe on the thinner side, it might be a great idea for a razor cut. So you kind of will always be able to tell on your first, like when you come in, if it feels like it's coming off like butter, you're okay. If it feels like you just hit a barge, might not be the best hair for a razor cut. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? Okay, so let's come in for our next solid piece. Again, want to make sure that you're not too thick, that you can't see your guideline, especially on razor cutting. Too much hair at a time will just stop you in your tracks. This doll's got so much goop in her hair. Okay, so let's do one more zero, that whole nape. Okay, can you guys still see that you can see my guideline? Yes or no? Okay, good. Okay, so I come to the end, like right where I see my guideline, and then just come right behind it, and 1, 2, 3, C shaping or the hacker. I shouldn't say that, but let's do 1, 2, 3. C shaping like a C, 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 C. And it just gives you these really nice ends that kind of flip around and feathered, okay? All right, so 3 zeros at least. Now I'm gonna move up to a 45. And this is consistent. When I take this parting for this 45, you're right at the ear by now, okay? So you see that going over here. So when I'm gonna take my first sub parting on by the ear, and since I'm starting this one at a 45, where do you think I should start my first sub parting at the ear? Should I start it at a 0 or at a 45? 45. So we'll talk more about that. All right. So again, you want to make sure you can see your guide. This doll, a lot of her hair probably maybe has some layers in it. Okay. So the guideline for the 45. So Miss Grumman, for me in the past, has taught a lot of the graduations. Like she loves graduation haircuts. So you definitely when you're going to take the hair at a 45, you are graduating it. Okay, so when we're going to do that, you do not necessarily need to pick up all the hair. Okay? It's just not necessary. You can just pick up the hair you're going to cut. And the, okay, this comb, I'm going to throw it away and never look at it again. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you just need to pick up the hair that you're going to cut, and then enough so that you can see your guideline. Now, the rule of thumb with the 45, for Miss Grumman, she's so much taller than me that her 45 point, it was always her belly button. Okay, and I guess maybe that mine is not at my belly button. It's about 2 inches above. So find your spot that every time you do a 45, that's where you elevate to. So we have 0, 45, and then when we're going to do a 90, not yet, but we know a 90 is like right out from where the hair grows. Okay, and we're going to continue to hold this horizontally to do our cutting horizontally for now. Yes, there's razor cutting vertically, obviously, but today, just for the mindset of like making it easy on us, we're going to hold it at horizontally, horizontal fingers at a 45. And we don't need to pull our whole guideline up, and find your sweet spot for your 45, Come in and it's C shaping, 1, 2, 3. Now we have elevation going. Okay, so now since we're doing 45s, I am gonna move because we're at the rounding of the head. The solid part has been determined already. So you guys can see that part of the guideline. So not all of the hair came down. I found my spot for my 45, C shaping, and same thing here. This section's kind of big, so I'm going to take it slow. Does everybody kind of get how when we come down this, you see your guideline and you just move a little past it and then that's where you cut? It's not precision, it's about feathering. And then we're at the last piece. And you guys can see how nice this is, like on the bottom of the hair. We're starting to get some elevation. So we're gonna do one, palming my razor. We did 3 zeros and we're gonna do a couple of 45s and then we're gonna go to 90s. Yes.
Do they like just say like I'm gonna get a haircut and then you determine that?
You know, that can happen too. Like you might see that hair and like you know they want something flippy or feathery looking and maybe their hair seems like a good texture for razor cutting. You can ask them, have you ever had a razor cut? Would you like to try it? We had a student 2 semesters ago, Jessica Fry. She loved razor cutting. She asked the clients if she could do it and I'm like, just make sure you ask the clients with the right kind of hair, like, oh, but she loved it. That was fine. But there are a set of clients that come in and ask for a razor cut. So both ways works. Sometimes it'd be like, let's do a couple and see how it works first. I've done that before. So all of those things. That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, or elevation or razor cutting, yeah. All that stuff. So it gives us the mindset to start thinking about what can we do here. Okay, so next one. So we know we did 3 zeros. I'm on my second 45. Remember, we don't need to pull all that hair up. Just make sure you can see your guideline. Can you guys see my guideline there? Find your 45 spot. Make sure you have a decent amount of tension on the hair and C shaping. And I am going to move C shaping, 1, 2, 3, or goodbye to you. I'm going to do 3 zeros, 3 45s, and then we'll do the rest 90s. That makes sense to everybody?
How many subsections of 45?
I did 3 subsections of zeros, 3 subsections of 45. The rest 90. Okay, so I still have my, think of your spot, your sweet spot. Okay. C shaping. See how I'm going? center, side, side always. All right, so now I'm gonna take a minute and lower my doll because I'm gonna come to my 45s now. Also, I'm noticing that she's drying up. So take a minute to get her a little damp. And we're gonna come into our 90s. If you guys want to get the feather razor as a tool because you like razor cutting, do it. I'm going to talk a little bit about it before I'm done here with my haircut and show you guys how to use that as well. But let's do our first haircut with this, and then if you guys want to get the other cut razor, you know, just in case State Board ever comes back because they realize they made a mistake by not having a practical, then you guys will be using this one that I'm using today. Okay, so 90s. 0, 45s, 90. Okay? So it's up here because this is where the hair grows. Remember, we just need to get a little bit of our guideline. You don't need the whole guideline. Come out, make sure you can see. I couldn't see my guideline once I wet it down a little bit. So hang on a second. Let's make sure I can see my guide. Can you see my guide? It's barely. So you can see if I take any more hair than that, I won't be able to see my guide. So be super mindful. And see shaping. I'm going to be on the move. Now I have a side guide as well. See shaping. Say that again?
That's a 90.
Yes, because I'm coming out right from the where the hair's growing. You can see the little bit of layering that's coming. A little bit of elevation on the hair. Lower for you guys here. So you see what happens if we take too much hair though? You can't see your guide as well, you know? So that's why we do have subsections. Is that the comb I never want to see again? I'm not sure. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, we're all right. It kept stopping. All right. Come out at your 90. Now the head's changing, right? So my 90 is not really, I mean, it's here, but I'm elevating a little bit because I can't see my guideline at all. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Okay, so vertically I can see my guideline. So let's look at it vertically right now for the 90. So we were cutting horizontally. I couldn't see my guideline. If you still can, cut it horizontally. But I'm going to come in vertically and show you what that looks like. There's a lot changing right now. See my guide? I'm gonna come on the side and take the hair off like that. I'm gonna move around to the head. I'm taking it should be about 1/2 inch subpartings so that you're not over directing the hair from one side, and I'm moving so that I'm right in front of each subsection that I have. Okay, so we're gonna come here. See the guide? Right here. I'm gonna come right behind it, still behind my fingers. 1, 2, 3. Giving me some really nice layers. Okay, again, I want to show you, I'm staying right in front of the subsection, meaning I'm right here. Your subsection, if it's any wider than this, you're over directing hair in on each side. You don't want to do that. I'm coming in vertically. Most of the guide is dropping out. There's my guide.
The shortest part is your guide.
Say that again.
The shortest part is your guide.
That's my guide. Very good. And let me tell you, one of the things I remember when I was in beauty school, I don't feel like the whole time I was there I ever found my guide. Ever. And then I also I remember waiting forever for my teacher. So I'm sorry when you guys have to wait, but I remember that from beauty school too. I was like, oh my gosh. I don't feel like I ever found my guide. So the fact that you guys can see the guide is amazing. There's my guide. Vertical subpartings. Everybody see the transition from horizontal to vertical? Yes, you could tell the difference. And then where I take, I'm just going to come, also see a long piece there. Try to not, okay, look. When you're doing sections vertically, and this is throughout all of your haircuts, there's no rush. But look at if I take this subsection so wide. What am I doing if that subsection is that wide? What am I doing? I'm over directing these sides in, and that's not going to lead for an accurate cut, a good cut. And then it's setting up this subparting or this guideline to be longer than it should or whatever. So you really want to stay about 1/2 inch subpartings vertically. Try not to get ahead of yourself on that. Stay right in front of it. And then
How do we determine how many degrees we should elevate the person's hair?
so for today, we're starting with 3 zeros, 3 45s, and the rest 90s. When we have a client, you're going to hear what they tell you. So if they're going to tell you if they want low layers, like longer, down here layers only, then you know that you're probably going to stay at a 45.
Like it'd be 0 at the bottom.
Yes.
45 in the middle.
Bingo. Very good. But if they say I want shorter layers, I really want to see my layers, then it might be 0, 45, 90. But on those haircuts, we're going to cut a different kind of a guideline on the top. So you're going to do your solid, 0 everywhere, come back and do a 90-degree cut up here, and you're going to work from your top down on those haircuts. So that's a kind of even a different haircut than this razor cut. But you're thinking the right way. Like, how do I know? It's kind of like based on what we're going to hear from the client. Really, really good thought process. Again, I mean, I'm like you guys. I want to get a bunch of this done, and I grab too much hair. I get it. 1, 2, 3, C shaping. Cha-cha-cha. And there we go. And you guys can see, we're getting a nice little layer down here. And the hair's wispy and fun and beautiful. So I'm going to bring my last subparting down. Keep that hair damp. Start your verticals. I'm gonna be higher up now because this, so I'm gonna lower my doll. I'm gonna add, I might even ask, if I'm doing a razor cut and I need to be on the top, I might even ask the person to come down a little bit with this razor. Okay, if I'm using this razor, I can cut it a whole different way. Because of the dynamics of the guard, I can be on my fingers a whole different way. So let's bring this up. Let me find my guide. I'm at my, here I am. I'm gonna cut right on top of my fingers and I'm just gonna take the hair off like that. Like, different kind of a guard on both sides. Can hold it different in that case. So, but we're not doing that. So we have to have good placement of our client because of the dynamic of this other razor that we're using. So we want to come up or come up, but we're still going to be behind our fingers. I'm still cutting vertically. I'm at a 90 on the top. See my guide? It disappears. Once it disappears, time to come in for the ending. That's good. And work our way this way. I can see my guide really well here. I'm kind of doing pie shapings now off the circular part of the head on this top part. All right, so then the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna come to the sides. Drop a guideline. You know, the sides are tricky. I remember when we did it for the state board haircut, yes, it did look like a mullet in this regard. Because we're gonna start this at a 45-degree elevation. So that just is what it is. Yes?
People that have like thinner hair, this will make their hair frizzy, right?
Not necessarily. If they have thinner hair and let's say their hair's bleached, I would not do a razor cut. If they have thinner hair and it looks like their hair is in pretty good condition, you could do a razor cut.
We're talking about thicker hair, but like what about density or like?
If the hair's super dense and along with that makes it much coarser, I would not do a razor haircut. Good questions. Okay, make sure your sides are wet. Oh, these things, they stay on. It's like I'm not good at these kind of water bottles. Oh man. Okay, so remember we talked about, we started our 45s at right above the ear, so we're just gonna start the sides at a 45. And yes, it can look like a mullet. I'm taking the guideline right here from the side that's in the same spot as the side of the hair. And I'm finding my spot here. And then I'm just making that a 45. I'm gonna do the other side. Elevate.
Miss Selena,
Yes.
how do you find the guy?
So okay. So we're right here at the ear. Okay. This is the hair that I'm working with. So I'm gonna pull the guideline from the last piece that I cut from the back at the same spot. So I don't want to pull my guideline from down here because I'm higher. So my guideline is from here, the back that I just cut, not all the way back, but right next to it. That was a good question, Rita. That's my guide. Does that make sense? Okay. And now that you've cut both sides, they're pretty even. Then you can go ahead and finish one whole side and the next side. And it's gonna be the same thing. 345s and the rest 90s. Okay? 345s and the rest 90s. There's no zeros on the side. Does that make sense? Can I see a thumbs up? Thank you. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about the breaks too. You guys have been super